I'm about to prove that Master Duel is a game for babies and monkeys and baby monkeys because today, we are clicking buttons. The yes button. Anytime the game asks me to activate a card, I am sending it. No questions asked. Will I win a game? Will I prove that some decks can be piloted by literal children? Let's find out, shall we? I will be abiding by 3 simple rules. The central principle for today's games will be that if the game prompts me to activate a card, I must activate that card. My opponent summons any effect monster, instantly eating an effect veiler. My own draw phase? Hope I can get some value off my maxi. But while this rule seems masochistic in nature, I am not powerless in this game. Rule 2 is that if a card gives me multiple choices, like which monster to target, I get to make that decision. In a similar vein, Rule 3 is that in any open game state where I'm not being bombarded with activation prompts for Master Duel, I can choose what to do next. But enough with the rules, let's review the practice game. For this test run, I'll be queuing into a low-ranked game with a fan favorite Sky Strikers, known for being a deliberate deck that requires numerous decisions spread across multiple turns to operate a tightly controlled game, and piloting it with all the nuance of a rhythm game. I began my Sky Striker game immediately faced with the cruel rule set imposed upon me. Draw phase, I was forced to max C, the normal summon, Veilered. A bittersweet exchange as my resolved max C now no longer drew me a card due to my own Veiler. Not willing to be outdone, my opponent decided to join in on the tomfoolery and continued summoning anyway. My opponent passed on one unknown back row and a clear wing Synchro Dragon, but I wasn't worried. His effect negation has no power over our Link deck. What did worry me, however, was the collection of cards in my hand. I knew immediately that I would be casting my Max C into the depths of the graveyard without any real benefit, but the next 3 cards truly dawned upon me the nature of my newfound afflictions. 3 quick play spells that had to be activated sequentially. The choice wasn't that difficult, as with no cards on the field, I had to Widow Anchor first, then chain both my linkages. Now, for 3 shiny gold stars, what's the deal with 2 linkages? Despite being a bit dusty on the old strikers, I still remembered that each link monster can only be summoned once, meaning I'd have to sacrifice my beloved Kaina in the chaos of the card slinging. Regardless, play resumed. I absent-mindedly pushed for some damage with Ray before unknowingly committing my first true blunder. With engaging Grave and 2 monsters on the field, I decided to summon Zeke in order to consolidate my board and set up Ray as well as enable my striker spells. But as an unforeseen prompt arose, my heart began to sink. Master Duel wanted to know if I wanted to activate Zeke's effect. I stared at disbelief in my own miscalculation, taking it in for about 25 seconds. The challenge had officially fooled me, and I had taken a silent vow to never be fooled again. Luckily, my opponent decided to join in on clicking buttons and bailed me out with his bottomless trap hole. Thus, my Ray and Grave popped onto the field, the quick effect prompt allowed me to get back into my links, and I was once again in a commanding position. I was starting to cook. Was it possible that I'd win my first game of Click Yes Turbo with a deck like Sky Strikers? I recycled my Engage and pick up multi-roll, but lucked into another quick play spell on the draw, Hornet Drones, which put a monster onto my field, and I couldn't link it away due to Linkage's summoning lock. Off the shiz, I picked up a Shark Cannon and passed. Draw phase, I activate the 3rd Max C, and my opponent sets up some blockers. An unimpressive defense at that. From there, I simply climb my way up, making sure to chain both my quick plays as soon as Master Duel tells me to, and clear his board, with the help of my 5300 Sky Striker Ace access code talker. I did it. I won. Well, okay, you can live another turn. But with no cards in hand and an Ash Blossom shotgun to his Takatomborg, I did it. I actually did it. I won a game where I just pressed buttons. With a full-on control deck, no less. I won't lie, the original script for the video called for me to completely embarrass myself and resort to playing a much more monkey-style deck to eke out a win. So I decided to do it anyway. Not one to deviate from the script, I crafted this monstrosity. I decided to employ a real fan favorite, Eldritch Stun, with as many floodgates as my mind could craft. They call it Monkey Flip? It's time to put their money where their mouth is. But in doing so, I had insulted God and his blessings. See, God had given me, one of his finest creations, a living human being, a brain to think, to rationalize the world around us, and yet I rejected his kindness, opting to return to cave brain. As I entered the game, I saw that I won the die roll and my neurons shut off, shuttering all and any brain activity. I set the fort, the same OTK that I'd seen in many a ranked game, but this, my friends, is where I commit perhaps my most embarrassing blunder in my Yu-Gi-Oh career. Feeling safe behind my fire and forget floodgates, I hit end turn. And when the draw phase came around and prompted me to activate my only legal activation, I felt invincible. But alas, it was my hubris that would be my downfall, as the next card that flashed on screen was my own solemn judgment. A sign that God himself had forsaken me, and why wouldn't he? I had turned to the devil and his machinations to get a cheap win for content. And in what can only be explained in a masterclass of irony, the cheesy Go First OTK deck would meet its match. And I would be sent back to the lobby, a changed man. So I went back to the drawing board and replaced the Psalms with Floodgates 33 and 34.